get into, well, I guess we won't because we don't have a Longley update. So let's talk about it now. So what did you find most interesting about that?
I think in terms of him saying that Longley for 2 seasons, that's what, I remember that time when he was at Barcelona, he was playing really, really well. That's what I think of Longley. And obviously it hasn't worked out, as he said, for the past couple of years. But it's no surprise to me that he was playing really well when Barca were a very solid team. Were doing quite well, were winning league titles and challenging the Champions League. And then all of a sudden, that all started to fall apart a bit, and their defence suffered badly. And especially under Ronald Koeman, they were all over the place. They obviously, as you said, lost 7-2 to Bayern Munich, and I think we've seen firsthand the difference you can make when you're playing for a team with a solid, settled backline who know what they're doing defensively compared to a team who are a bit of a shit show all over the place and leaking chances left, right and centre. And defenders can be made to look very bad in those situations. I think Lenglet, considering he was playing really well for 2 years straight, he said for him one of the best in Europe during that time. And you put him in a back three where he's got more cover around him. You put him in a more functional team like Spurs. I think maybe we could see a better quality defender. And I think we're not going to see this error-prone defender that has been at Barcelona in the past few years. I think you rebuild his confidence, you put him in a better system. And I think that goes to, for me, what he's been saying leads to the conclusion that he could definitely be a much better defender at Spurs than he was at Barcelona for the past couple of years.
I'm not going to lie, the more and more I'm hearing about him, even what Pablo just told us there, I am getting excited about the Longley signing, and I think that Antonio Conte can maybe not bring him back to one of the most exciting defenders in Europe, but definitely a player that can be a big asset for us, that's for sure. And the ball playing ability that I've seen from the videos that he does have is going to be such an asset for us as well. So I'm excited, but I still think that with probably Joe Rodon leaving the club as well, we do need another centre-back to supplement him as well. But we'll have to see how that one plays out. But it does seem that Longley will be our next signing on loan from Barcelona. So that is on Longley. We've got some more updates to bring to you as well. First, we're going to talk about Jed Spence, as Fabrizio Romano said yesterday that Jed Spence is really close to Tottenham Hotspur now. Sky Sports saying that Tottenham are now in advanced talks with Jed Spence, agreement getting closer, and Spurs hope to have him by the start of pre-season next week. And the most recent update is from Rudy Galletti, and he says Jed Spence from Middlesbrough to Tottenham, it's just a matter of time. Nottingham Forest have been beaten, only final paperwork's to be done. The player is pushing for the move and hopes to close it very, very soon. So sounds like this one's moving forward finally.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken its time, hasn't it? And look, we've heard these kind of updates before, so I don't want to get too excited, but it seems like Jed Spence is the one that we've chosen. There are other rumours that I was reading that we're delaying it because we're still exploring other right wing-back options, but it seems as though we've decided on Jed Spence.
It's funny, though, with that update, though, because we heard updates similar to Longley on the day that we basically confirmed that it was confirmed that Longley was coming. Didn't it? Ali Gold was saying, yeah, Longleys are not our first choice. Yeah. We're going to wait till later in the window to see who we can bring in before we bring him in. And then later that day, Romano's like, yeah, he's going to be our next signing. And then it was very similar with Jed Spence as well.
Yes, maybe there's something to it. I do think if it is something like 15 million plus add-ons, I think that's definitely a sound deal for a 21-year-old right wing back who's got bags of potential. There's always going to be question marks, and they're not going to be answered until we see him in action, unfortunately. So there's always going to be people who say he hasn't played enough Premier League football, he's too young, is he going to be able to step up? And those are all valid concerns, and there's nothing you can say really until he's playing regularly for Tottenham to really get the answers. All we know is that he definitely has a lot of talent. We know that. He definitely, in terms of how he plays, he definitely would suit Antonio Conte, the way he gets forward and takes people on and gets in the box as well. Those are all very positive things about the way Jed Spence plays. But does this signing leave more questions than answers? You could very well say yes.
We'll have to see how it pans out. But what gives me hope is when I've seen him against Premier League opposition in the cup tournaments last year, because I thought he was second to none. He gave Arsenal such a torrid time when they beat them at the City Ground last season, and against Leicester he scored that worldie of a goal as well. So I think that whenever I've seen him play last year, he's been brilliant. But he's only had one good season in his career to date. So there will be those question marks, but I'm excited to bring him in. I really am excited to bring him in. And if we bring him in and have Spence and Doherty as our two right wing backs going into next season, are you happy with that?
I mean, I think they're two good options. I don't think they're two options that are title winning options. But then again, you would have said the same about Moses. So who knows? With Spence, I think a crucial thing is if we get him in before pre-season, get a full pre-season of him under Conte, then maybe it'll ease him into getting used to playing Premier League football and stuff. If he was like a deadline day signing and, he has to play catch up and all these things and, he doesn't quite get used to everything until midway through the season, that would be definitely count against him. But the fact we're getting him in before pre-season will definitely help a lot. So maybe he could be ready to play come the start of the season.
All right. Let's move on and let's talk about Harry Winks. We got the Everton ITK El Bobble, who's been absolutely spot on with stuff recently on Twitter.
The bubble.
Exactly, respect the bubble. And he says, despite reports, Tottenham and Everton are set to have one final meeting today over Winks, with the stumbling block being Everton do not want an obligation in the deal. Mark Douglas says that Harry Winks will not be signing for Everton. Frank Lampard is said to have done extensive due diligence on the midfielder and has decided against the move.
We were definitely hoping they weren't going to do that. Well, let's get the deal done. Oh, you don't have to.
You know what they should do? They just said, Frank Lampard, your old videos and your old opinions on Winks, and then
exactly that's what they should have done. It's like, here's a file on all the. I don't have to look at that. Just sign him. Just sign the contract. It's all. Don't worry, it's all good. Like maybe Lampard, because we all know that Winks has that injury problem, doesn't he? Which hasn't gone away. In fact, you can even probably pinpoint his downfall to that moment where he had that injury, didn't he? Because we knew that he said himself it's something he's going to have to manage, and he's got ankle problems and he's never really going to fully recover from it. Pochettino said it's something he's going to have with the rest of his career. Yeah. And that is something that's that I'm not saying everything, all his pitfalls can be down to that. But that's definitely something you can point to say that's when he really started to decline. And maybe that's something they've noticed, Everton, and think, is it worth taking the punt on him? The good news is on that is that there are still a lot of other clubs interested in him, so apparently. So maybe he will still find somewhere to go. But it seems like Everton have decided against signing him. And I said to Connie yesterday, I said to him, Connor, who's the Everton fan, he said, I said, hopefully you start making better decisions in the transfer market, and by evidence of you rejecting Winks, maybe that's evidence of you making better decisions in the transfer market. So maybe that's something to cling on to. But look, I do believe you put him in a different team who suit him better, he could probably do a good job for you. I just do question whether he's ever going to get back to the level he was before that injury, where he was taking on, Madrid and, coming out on top and stuff like that. I don't know. But hopefully he finds some solution for him.
And talking of Winks and other clubs being interested in him, a chap called Guards44 on Twitter, I do believe he has some sort of inside knowledge. I'm not sure how extensive it is, but he says that Spurs talking to Leicester about Tielemans with Winks going the other way. What a deal that would be. Both players interested in the move as well. And also George Bannister actually quote tweeted it and said that Spurs now actively exploring a move for Tielemans as a midfield option, having gone quiet on him earlier in the summer. And actually, Paul O'Keefe responded to that tweet, and he said Spurs looking at many options right now. So what's your opinion? Do you think Winks, do you think a team like Leicester will consider a player like Winks? And do you think Tielemans would be a good option for Spurs?
I think Tielemans definitely would be a good option for Spurs. I don't think he's perfect, but the fact of the matter is we have all my reservations of Tielemans get solved with the fact we have Højbjerg, Basuma, Skip and Bentancur. So those solve all my reservations about Tielemans. Is he good enough off the ball? Is he, can he get out run? Is he too easy to beat? All that stuff. Or he's going to be playing alongside one of the other four all the time. So from that point of view, then you could see the best out of his passing range, shooting range, all that kind of stuff. That could definitely be a big asset for us. So I think for sure Tielemans would be a good signing. Not a perfect signing. I do think he'd be a very good signing for us, and especially a good Winks replacement.
Do you think with Tielemans though, after bringing in Bissouma, Skip's coming back, Højbjerg, Bentancur in the squad. Is there space in the squad for Tielemans in a 3-4-3?
With the amount of no, probably not. I mean, yes and no. I think in terms of is there space for him? Yes, because he's good enough to win his spot over some of those other players.
Is he better than Bentancur?
Potentially, in terms of on the ball, you could argue he's probably the best of the lot in terms of his passing range and shooting range. So, but we know that those aren't necessarily what Conte needs from his centre mids. So from that point of view, is he going to find a starting spot easy? No. Is he good enough to win his starting spot or win minute or earn minutes from his quality? Absolutely, yes. Is he vital to a signing? No. The reason I would say I would rather someone like Eriksen than Tielemans is Eriksen covers areas of the pitch that Tielemans doesn't cover. For example, behind the striker, those half spaces on the around the penalty area with a bit more guile. That's what Eriksen would bring. So I'd much rather an Eriksen type of player than a Tielemans type of player who's more of a although I still at the beginning of the window think we needed it, but more of a Neves, Jorginho kind of centre mid with a good passing range. But we have decided to go for Bissouma, so I don't see us getting that kind of player anymore. So I definitely think we need an Eriksen type of player more than a Tielemans type of player. Although Tielemans definitely, his assets could definitely be used within the squad.
I mean, the main reason why I'm really for this Tielemans transfer is just to see more angry Gooners.
That would definitely.
That's probably the biggest plus of the transfer, to be honest.
That would definitely make me happy. But I just feel like if we sign Tielemans, I do think 5 isn't like 5 midfielders is a decent amount to go in the window with. I don't think that's too many. I just feel like we're playing a 3-5-2. I would just rather a more offensive player than Tielemans come in, but Tielemans for sure could be a very good option for us if we were to get him through the door. In terms of Winks going to Leicester, I mean, I don't see him improving Leicester, so I don't think that would be a great move for him for Leicester. But for him to prove himself,
did they get Conference League for next year? They didn't, did they?
No, they don't think it did in the end.
Who got it? West Ham got it.
West Ham got it. They're not in Europe, so. If for Winks is a good opportunity to rebuild his career, I don't think Leicester would see. I don't think it would be a great signing for them, to be honest. But
all right, let's move on and let's talk about Gleison BREMER now. And we've got some new quotes from him as of yesterday. And he's talking about his future. And he goes, "Where will I play? I'm talking to my agent about it. And at the moment, there's nothing definite. I don't know if I'll stay in Italy or go abroad. The only mandatory thing is to play in the Champions League." Do you think this is still a viable option for us? I mean, we heard a few days ago, I think it was like the middle of the week or earlier in the week, that the Torino managing director or the guy that's responsible for their transfers has been in London speaking to various different agents and maybe even Paratici and stuff like that. So do you think that this is a deal that can get done or will get done?
I definitely think it's one that can get done. Whether it all depends about how well we see Lenglet, I think. Because BREMER's, I think we see him as one either on the right-hand side or the centre of the back three. I don't think we see him as a left-hand-sided centre-back. So it's whether we see Lenglet as cover for Dyer and then we go for another left-sided centre-back this summer, or do we see him as a stopgap at left centre-back for next season and then we get BREMER now as competition for Eric Dyer. So I think a lot dependent on how we
get rid of Sanchez. He could replace Sanchez.
Or we get rid of Sanchez. Yeah, I think that's also a big possibility that Sanchez leaves. We get a good offer for him and BREMER's his replacement as well. And he's competition for Romero and Dyer. Can cover both spaces. So look, he is big money. So I don't see us signing him and spending big money on a left centre back right this summer.
Do you think going into the new season we need 6 centre backs, or is 5 enough for you next season? Let's say if we go into next season with Dyer, Davis, Romero, BREMER, and Longley, is that enough?
I would say
have Tanganga there as well, I guess.
Tanganga there as well. I would say yes, because Lenglet and BREMER would both cover 2 positions as well. So they have a bit of versatility. They can cover the centre and the left, so and either the left or the right. So I would say it is. I would say it is enough for next season. I don't think we'll need to sign another one unless you're signing a young player who's happy to learn off the others and happy to sit on the bench. And I think Tanganga maybe serves that role, though he's getting on. He's a bit older than that now, so he'll probably want some game time. But I would say that's enough, yeah.
All right. Moving on. Mike McGrath of The Telegraph is telling us today that Tottenham consider a free agent Jesse Lingard as a homegrown option in midfield for next season. Struggle to see where he fits in now. I mean, when these rumours first came up, I think it was under Jose Mourinho, I was kind of for it because, you know, we didn't have much going for us at that time and we had holes in the squad. But after bringing in Richarlison, we've got Kulusevski now. Can't really see where he fits in, to be honest.
He just started a TikTok as well. You know what I mean? I don't want that. No, honestly, he's more. He's like, I feel like he's more focused on other things. Football's not his priority right now. You know, like when I see him doing all his TikTok dances and all these things, he's like trying to build his own brand, and that's what he's focused on. And like he's been sitting on the bench for like the fact that they in January that West Ham went really hard for him. And they couldn't get a deal done for one reason or another. Like, I don't know whether he was not willing to take a pay cut or something, or like I feel like if his concentration
I thought Ollie didn't want to sell. I thought that was the situation.
It wasn't Ollie, it was Rangnick, wasn't it?
Oh,
Rangnick didn't want him. They knew it, but for some reason nothing happened. And I just feel like for me, Lingard had a great 6 months at West Ham, and it showed
and
what
even
he
that
could
tailed
be.
off at the end.
It tailed off near the end. I feel like football's not his priority right now. I feel like is he really doing everything to make sure that is he really doing everything right now? I don't see a player working that hard, like the best I'm not saying he's not a hard worker. I'm just saying I don't see a player who's doing everything he can right now to make sure that he's ready for the new season. He's going to have the best career possible from now to the end of the season. I feel like he's making TikTok accounts. He's doing social media. He's concentrating on his brand. He's going on holiday and all these kind of things, which all players are entitled to do. But I feel like Lingard has been off form I know he had a good 6 month spell at West Ham, but he's been off form apart from that little spell for like 3 years now. And I feel like when players are concentrating too much on these other things, it can it's like Rashford as well. It's like I know he's doing great stuff, but like is he taking his eye off the ball on his footballing side? That's why he's not doing so well on the pitch. And I think Lingard could be the same. So for me, I wouldn't be too interested in bringing him right now.
Yeah, I can't really see the kind of thing that I don't think Jesse Lingard's like an Antonio Conte player at all, by any stretch of the imagination. And I think if Jesse Lingard was to come in, that would definitely stink of maybe a Daniel Levy deal or something like that. But I can't see Antonio Conte wanting him at all.
Well, the pros, he's homegrown, he can play, he's good cover for the right-hand side maybe. I mean, I don't see him playing centre-mid at all. I know he played that role at the World Cup. I don't see him playing that role anymore. So he has to be in one of the front three positions. And, you know, if you're on the bench and you either bring on Lingard or Lucas, who you bring on? Probably Lucas. Like, I wouldn't want to bring on Lingard. So then maybe he plays what we think the role Eriksen could potentially play. Maybe he plays that kind of role, but he doesn't play it as well as Eriksen does. So I don't know. It doesn't really interest me, this one.
Yeah, I completely agree. And last but not least, we've got an Emerson Royal. Well, not directly linked to Emerson Royal, but Atletico Madrid have confirmed the departure of their right-back Siem Vasako, I think that's how you pronounce it, following the expiry of his contract. And that could play into the rumours that we have been hearing over the last couple of days of Emerson Royal being heavily linked to Atletico Madrid. Do you think there's something in that?
Well, potentially. We know they've made an offer, according to Sky Sports anyway, which Tottenham apparently rejected. So I don't know whether apparently we want a permanent, they want a loan with an option to buy one of those deals. Emerson's agent is saying that Emerson is still number one option at Tottenham for the right wing back spot.
That's because he is number one option, because Doherty's still not completely fit yet, and Emerson's our only right wing back in the team.
Emerson's done a tweet though welcoming Richarlison to Tottenham. I wouldn't be surprised if Emerson does want to stay. You know, he's probably happy here.
Seems like he does. He says himself, didn't he, that he's got.
He wants to make history at Tottenham. Yeah. He said he's got Lucas here now. He's got Richarlison here. So I think he probably believes he can make a success of himself. It just depends on us how either desperate we want to get rid of him, and what kind of deal that's acceptable for us for him, and whether he's prepared to leave. A lot of question marks. But with Atletico letting Salco leave, and they've obviously let Trippier leave in January, they're definitely on the lookout for a right wing back. So definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, Absolutely. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. But, you know, something tells me that our business is nowhere near done as per yet. I mean, we are 1st of July now, and we've got, what was it, 4 or 5 confirmed signings now through the door, with Longley and Jed Spence apparently to come as well in the coming days.
And Mateo Morata apparently just tweeted saying that Longley in the final details of the deal now.
All right. So come on, Longley about to sign apparently.